25-yard line. Namath trying to get his club on the board, leading 10-7. Joe looking right, and then down the middle to McCutcheon inside the 15-yard line. Falls to about the 13-yard line. Willie Harper and Skip Vanderbund combining to make the tackle.
Excellent pattern, a good possession type pass. McCutcheon comes out, makes a little outside move. You see Joe reload, and it's because McCutcheon went back inside on him.
So it's 1st and 10. The ball just inside the San Francisco 14-yard line. Namath is 4 for 8 and 72 yards. And he bumps into Capoletti, and now John has to pay for it. So did you get hit that way by one of your own backs once in a while, Sonny?
They would have run right straight over me in that situation. You know, and he actually picks up a couple of yards on it. Look at this. It's just a mix-up, and where do I go from here? Don't run over me. Find somebody else to run over.
So they actually gain 2 yards on the play. Make it 2nd and 8. The ball on the 11-yard line of San Francisco. 3:24 in the second quarter, and the Rams leading 10-7. Scales right, Jackson left. McCutcheon, the deep man out of the eye, inside the 5, down to the 2-yard line. Dave Washington has him by the shoulders. Ralph McGill had him by the ankles.
And again, the same place they've been working, straight up the middle. Really getting some good blocking there. Tom Mack.
So it'll be 1st and goal, and they'll spot the ball on about the San Francisco 3-yard line, and they bring in the heavyweights now. Terry Nelson on one side, Charlie Young on the other, along with Dwight Scales. McCutcheon behind a Capoletti block, but he couldn't get to the zone. Mel Phillips taking a lick from Dwight Scales, where there was Phillips and McGill.
Looked like he had a little opening here to begin with. Couldn't quite get in.
So it is 2nd and goal. The ball on the San Francisco 1-yard line. 10-7 in favor of Los Angeles. 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go in the second quarter. Still the 2 tight ends, Nelson and Young, along with Scales, and time called by Los Angeles. Joe Namath with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. He had 10 seconds before the 2-minute warning, Sonny. This gives us a chance. Let's get back to your dart.
I'll change that from dart to waltz.
Okay, what happened?
We're playing against the Baltimore Colts, and go back to throw. Couldn't find anybody, and I found a big opening on the left-hand side. It was in Washington. I start back through the hole and very slowly, waiting for someone to knock my head off. I kept moving down the field. I see the 2 people closing in on me, and the linebacker's coming to get me. And all of a sudden, just as I get down close to about the 15-yard line, I know I'm going to get wiped out, and I go into the 2 defensive backs, and Dennis Golbatz, the middle linebacker, hits me in the fanny, knocks me through the 2 people trying to tackle me. I come out staggering on the other side and go 15 yards untouched, a 33-yard run, the longest run from scrimmage all year for us.
No wonder you are the one and only number 9 in Washington.
They had to get the respirator to get me back to the bench.
Well, if you weren't with us, the reason Sonny is telling us it was because of Joe Namath, who actually ran with the ball today for a couple of yards and then hit the dirt to escape Skip Vanderbund. Namath picked up 7 yards, and they'll send that to the Hall of Fame.
Let's see if he'll take it in. You think he'll call his own play here?
I doubt it. 2nd and 1 from the San Francisco 1. McCutcheon and Capoletti. Capoletti, touchdown. John Capoletti bangs it over. So the Heisman Trophy winner of 1973 rushes for a touchdown from 1 yard out.
Right over the top. Right over the top and gets it in. Good drive by the Rams. And of course, again, a lot of it, besides running up that middle, good passing, good play calling. Joe Namath.
Now, Raphael Septian from Mexico City went to school at Southwest Louisiana. The Rams heard about him from Billy Cannon. and it is paying off. The little guy is right on the money again. And so, with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left to go in the second quarter, Rams 17, San Francisco 7.
One little fender bender, and I'll probably lose half a day chasing down estimates.
You don't have to chase estimates with Allstate.
I don't?
Not with Allstate's drive-in claim centers. We take care of the estimate, and we can settle up on the spot.
Just a couple more minutes.
Allstate has hundreds of drive-in locations, so you don't have to chase estimates.
What a difference.
When it takes being different to be better,
Why?
Allstate will do it.
That's a promise from us, the good hands people.
Inside this new Firestone radial tire is an improved steel cord with 5 million miles of developmental testing. Where once we used 5 strands, we now use 10 strands of steel. 7 around 2, wrapped by 1. A cord construction so important, Firestone named the tire for it. 7, 2, 1. The new steel-belted radial 721. Now, from Firestone.
What is that stuff?
Haze. Flown in especially for this game and telecast to discourage permanent visitors. Septien gets his foot into this one. Jennings in the end zone, and Rick's going to run it out. To the 15, 20, bumps into his own man, and is bombed down by Eckern. Carl Eckern really nailed him. There have been a couple of big hits, the other one by Rod Phillips on kickoff. Take another look. Rick Jennings.
He's getting up very slowly. Look at him. He's still down. He really took a hit because he was spinning. Watch him as he spins on this run, trying to avoid being tackled. He comes up the right side, follows his wedge well this time. Maybe that's the reason he didn't follow the wedge last time.
Well, we've got the 2-minute warning, and the Rams are leading the 49ers 17-7.
Announcing the new 1978 Ford Bronco. It's the first four-wheeler that puts it all together with things like a big cube 351 V8 standard, front quad shock option, part-time four-wheel drive with optional automatic, rear footwell, flip-fold rear seat option, side support buckets, and more. The all-new Bronco. It's the total four-wheeler. For toughness, for comfort. Compare it to any four-wheeler anywhere.
Are you still chained to? Gotcha. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor lets you walk away, free from nicks and cuts. Its 36 surgical steel rotary razor blades are safely protected inside 3 floating heads to give you a comfortable shave that's razor close, razor smooth, for up to 3 weeks on a single charge. The rechargeable Norelco rotary razor. It lets you walk away from gotcha.
With 1 minute and 58 seconds left to go to the half, the Rams leading the 49ers 17-7, and Jim Plunkett's crew in possession of the ball, 1st and 10 on their own 22-yard line. Jim Plunkett so far 5 for 8 and 100 yards with 1 touchdown, a beauty to Delvin Williams after a big setup on a big pass to Gene Washington. So we'll see now what Plunkett can do with 1:58 to go to the half. He has Gene Washington left, Jim Lash right. And he releases to Wilbur Jackson behind a screen with Peebles out in front. And he gets across the 25 to about the 28. Woody Peebles was trying to set up a screen, and Dave Elmendorf got through.
Clock working against him here. See it ticking down. Almost 1.5 minutes left. As the final, Baltimore 17, Buffalo 14.
So a pickup of 6. It's 2nd down and a long 3, almost 4 from the 28. Washington right and Lash left. A little bit of a draw out of Wilbur Jackson, but it didn't work. And the reason, Jack Youngblood was right there.
Well, Youngblood really got off on the ball and got good penetration. And he was around his man so quickly that he was able to come back in and pick up the delay.
Timeout, San Francisco.
The thinking there, Ben, was you had 2nd and less than 5. Just try to get the 1st down and then go back to throw again and try to pick up the big yardage, even get in field goal or get a score here. But Youngblood made the big defensive play.
There you see Kenny Myers talking to Jim Plunkett. Among other things, Meyer, 4 years, Ram offensive coordinator. Years ago, in 1968, he was the San Francisco offensive back coach under Dick Nolan. He also worked with the New York Jets in 1969 when Namath was there. And to go way back, he also worked at Alabama under Paul Bryant, and his #1 protege was Joe Namath. And now here's Kenny Myers, who's had such a fine career along with Joe, and they're head-to-head against each other, and his hopes are resting on Jim Plunkett. Kenny is 52, out of Erie, Pennsylvania. He was a quarterback, and he's talked to Plunkett, and we'll see what develops with 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go in the second quarter, and the Rams leading the 49ers 17-7. Big play for Plunkett now. He's going to have to hold on to the ball. 3rd down, and he has about 4. Delvin Williams. But he just runs into a crowd, gets across the 30, and there'll be a timeout called immediately. And it'll be 4th down.
Didn't understand that call. Didn't understand that call.
Ultra conservative, I guess.
Oh, that's giving it back to the Rams. Can use some timeouts. They got some timeouts left. They got 1 minute and 10. They got a lot of time. They're going to get pretty good field position here. They got time to get on the board before the half.
By the way, the Ram rushing game, with 1 minute to go in the half, they have rushed for 5 yards. And, of course, it's amazing. The 49ers for 5 yards, and Plunkett has passed for 106. So it's amazing that although the 49ers have not established any running game, that Plunkett has passed as well as he has.
That's what makes that last call a little more unusual.
That's Tom Whittam drying his hands, and that's Billy Waddy waiting to get his hands on the pigskin. The Rams trying to confuse the Niners, almost got away. The end-over-end kick across the 35. Waddy has it and spins across the 40 and goes down on about the 43. Those Ram linemen jumping up the way they did, that's really got to upset some young ball players.
It really does. That's one reason the punting teams are standing up now instead of going down in the three-point stance, because you can't move from that three-point stance in the punting position, and that's what they do. They try to make you move by all that movement. They came very close to blocking that one, forced another bad punt out of Whittam.
So the Rams take over 1st and 10 on their own 43-yard line. They have a minute left to go in the second quarter, and the Rams are leading 17-7. And Namath is going for money, and he is sacked. Cedric Hardman hit him immediately, and that's the first Hardman sack of the day. He came in here with over 88 sacks in his career.
Joe going back here, he goes with a 5-man pattern, which really cuts down on your protection, and that's why he gets hit. Oh, you know, this is the worst place to get it, too, because you don't have any eyes back there. When the man comes from behind you, you kind of sense that he's back there, but when he gets over your shoulder, that's where you dislike it the most.
There's Cedric Hardman picking up the sack. 49ers sacked Namath 5 times in the exhibition series. 2nd and 22, and they decide to go to Cappelletti. So with 29 seconds to go, they figure, hold everything. We have tried our gamble and failed, and we'll just punch it into the line.
Yeah, I think they may not even run another play here.
Joe Namath, 4 for 8 and 72 yards.
They're going to have to. They call timeout on him.
With 26 seconds, and I see you have a score.
A little second period score. San Diego 7, Cincinnati 3. It's a little unusual. They have a lot of offensive weapons down in San Diego, don't they?
They do indeed, as long as they stay healthy. And, of course, there's a considerable amount of conversation here in Los Angeles about their quarterback, namely James Harris.
As Harris, with people like Rogers and Washington and Young, boy, he's got some weapons down there.
Well, it's 3rd and 19 for Joe Namath and the Rams, and they're leading by 10. 26 seconds to go to the half. Namath had been passing for 50% coming into the game, and that's exactly where he is today, 4 out of 8.
I think also with Joe calling the plays now, after the first game where Knox called the plays or the bench called the plays, they're throwing more on first down, like 58% of the time instead of, running 58 instead of 75% run on first down.
Well, we'll see what he does now. Third and about 19 with 26 seconds to go to the half. And it's McCutcheon with Mack and Doug France blocking, and he got across the 40. France opening up the hole for him at the line of scrimmage.
Bringing in their punting team.
He moved it to the 40. And now Glenn Walker, who had a great punt earlier, a 49-yard punt. And Glenn Walker will be in there to do it.
49ers call a timeout here. They want to make sure they either they're going to go after this thing and try to block it, try to set up a return. This is like an offensive play for them.
Rick Jennings is okay after being shaken up the last time. He's standing on his own 20-yard line. And you can see 19 seconds to the half. 17-7 in favor of the Rams, and Glenn Walker standing on his own 26-yard line. There's Rick Jennings standing on his 18. And they're coming. Lewis trying to get close. What a kick. Jennings at the 15, and is dropped immediately by Pat Thomas, number 27. So little Pat went flying down to administer the hit, a 45-yard punt, and no return.
We had excellent hang time on that. The number of seconds that ball stays up in the air. He had to go about 4-7 on that.
So we have 11 seconds left to go, and here's the hit again. Pat Thomas applying it to Rick Jennings.
He didn't get a chance to take a step, did he?
He's taken some nasty whacks. He was cut by Tampa Bay, picked up for his speed, but he hasn't had a chance to use it. Plunkett with 11 seconds, and it's Delvin Williams. Jack Youngblood, a high grab up around the neck to spin him back in where the rest of the blue could get him. And the seconds have run out. It's halftime here at the Los Angeles Coliseum. The Rams are leading the 49ers 17-7. The 49ers have won 2 of the last 3 meetings. In fact, the 49ers in the last 10 years have beaten the Rams 4 times, and all 4 times here at the Coliseum. Overall, however, the Rams hold 33-19, and there were 2 ties.
Yeah, the game started out then in the first quarter. You would think that looking at it like Plunkett was going to open up today and really come out throwing. He made the big play to Mitchell on a scramble, came right back on a first down call and hit Washington, and he had them going, and they go in and get a touchdown to take the lead, but then they got kind of conservative there in the second quarter, that I thought, because they haven't had any success running the ball. They've only got about 10 yards rushing. You really would think that, I would think at halftime they're going to say, look, we're going to have to put it up a little more. We're down now. We don't want to get way down because you don't want that defensive line to tee off on him and come, but he's going to have to put it up a little more in the second half.
The Ram offensive line has done an excellent job, and one of the battles that is halfway determined would be the front 4 of San Francisco trying to sack Joe Namath. And as you saw, Hardman finally got him, but that was the only sack, and we did see Namath a couple of times escape the jaws of the 4, and one time we saw him on that rather memorable scramble.
Was that, you call that a scramble? Was that actually a run?
I'm not sure quite what it was, but I know one thing. He knew exactly where Skip Vanderbunt was, and as soon as Vanderbunt got close, why, Joe decided to hit the ground. It was one of the highlights. In fact, you figure that's going to be in the Ram highlights?
Got to be in the highlights. Instead of a scramble, you could call it a stumble.
One thing for both the 49ers and the Rams being in the same division, figuring to be 1 and 2, this is a very important ball game. And for the 49ers, they had just about as bad an exhibition season as the Rams. They opened up and lost badly to an excellent team. The Rams opened up and lost badly to a team that didn't figure to beat him. The Rams beat Philadelphia, and everybody says, so what? That's the only team you have beaten. The 49ers showed a flicker of life in losing to Miami, and as you pointed out now, Plunkett throwing well for 100 yards and a touchdown, I would think that Kenny Myers and Jim Plunkett and the 49ers are going to have to take the wraps off and gamble some because they're down by 10 now.
They got to, and as you pointed out, it's the importance of this game because they go down like 3 games in their division by losing this game, and they don't want to drop 2 games down to the Rams because if they're going to be contenders for the Western Division in the NFC, this is an important game for them.
And the 49ers, when you look at the schedule, after they play the Rams, Sonny, they start playing Atlanta, not a bad ball club, then the New York Giants, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Atlanta again, New Orleans. So they have a string of games they could conceivably win. That's what makes this one so important.
Certainly is.
So it's halftime, 17-7 Rams.
Schlitz Light.
Schlitz Light beer has a third fewer calories than our other fine beer, and all the taste beer drinkers expect from Schlitz.
So what he always drinks?
Yep, it's his beer. It's the only light beer with gusto.
Oh, yeah?
Schlitz Light. Beer drinkers know it took Schlitz to bring the taste to light.
Excuse me, do they serve clams here?
No, and they don't serve turkeys either.
Pardon, monsieur. It's your clothes. You'd look better in Hager slacks. But a Hager sport coat and slacks. Even a Hager vested suit. A variety of outfits at prices that are easy to swallow. Voilà, monsieur. Table for one?
Make that a table for 2.
Hager, because looking good makes you feel good.
Should have bought Mobile One. The oil saves you gas, you know.
Should have bought Mobile One. Helps you start at 35 below.
Should have bought Mobile One. Engine temperature heads 500. You're cool.
Should have bought Mobile One. You only change it every 15,000 miles.
Mobile One, the oil that does it all. Take it from an expert.
I want that man now. He will come back here tomorrow with me. You have my word.
Oh, Daniel, when are you going to learn?
A settler's betrayal turns the Indians against Daniel Boone. Now he must prove himself in a savage Cherokee trial or die. Young Daniel Boone, Tuesday night at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, CBS Sports Spectacular presents highlights of the U.S. Grand Prix from Watkins Glen. Live coverage of the World Middleweight Full Contact Karate Championship with Bill Superfoot Wallace defending his title against Pat Worley. And the World's Strongest Men competition featuring the Steel Bar Bend contest. That's next Saturday at 4:30.
The score 17-7 here at halftime in Los Angeles. Our halftime guest is the Vice President and General Manager of the 49ers, Joe Thomas. Joe, what about your observations in the first half?
Well, you know, we looked a little better than we have. Plunkett's thrown the ball quite well, I think, in the first half, and he made 2 big plays, as you saw there, and we got the ball in there for a score, and this is very important for us. Our offense has not been moving the ball as well as we liked, and I was glad to see him move the ball somewhat in the first half.
The running game has to be a disappointment to you here in the first half, though. I think right before the half, the 2-minute warning, they rushed for something like 5 yards. That's unusual with the caliber of runners that you have.
Well, you know, last year they ran the ball well, and we have not, for some reason, obtained the same running game as we had last year. And what it is, I don't know. And, of course, when you're not the coach, you don't know. But we have to get that thing going along with Plunkett's passing. As I said, Plunkett threw the ball a couple of times, which pleased me very much the first half.
Now, I have to talk with you, Joe, now that I have the chance to. A man that has been building winning football teams and noted for that more so than anybody in football. Starting back with the Vikings in 1960, then to Baltimore, on to Miami, and now San Francisco. Has the method of building a winning football team changed?
No, it isn't, Sonny. The whole thing is a draft. If you do the right job in the draft, then you're going to build a winning football club. I know some people say, look, some clubs win all the time despite the draft. It's not the draft, it's the people who are picking who makes the difference. The draft is there for you to build a football club. So this is where you have to start. You have to do the right job there and then go from that particular spot. Of course, the big thing and the key, you always got to come up with a quarterback. And as you know, the quarterback is the key to all football as far as I'm concerned. And each place I've been, we are fortunate with Tarkin and Greasy and Bert Jones, and now we hope that Plunkett can come along and do the job for us here.
You know, you talk about Jim Plunkett coming. By obtaining Jim Plunkett, you lose an awful lot of draft choices when you're trying to build and rebuild through the draft, aren't you?
That's right. So, of course, you know, we lost 3 first rounds and a second-round pick for Jim, and that's why it's important for him to get the job done for us, and which we're looking for him to do. You know, if you do the right job, as I said before, in Baltimore, you can take an example there. We had some high picks. We got Bert Jones and a Joel Ehrman and John Dutton, Roger Carr and Cook and Barnes. These were all first and second round picks. And so we built a defensive line. We have a fine receiver there, and I say we, and also the quarterback. And again, the quarterback is the key to the whole thing.
What will the San Francisco 49ers go to and look for in their next draft?
Well, it's hard to say. In first place, I never like to say anything because I think it hurts the player who's playing that particular position anyway. But we have a lot of times since you're drafting way in May and to make up our minds, and then you have a lot of time to make trades and whatnot. But trades are also important to come through with 1 or 2 big trades each year.
Joe, thank you for stopping by, and good luck to the 49ers the rest of the season. We'll be back right after this message.
Bender. Is BJ a medical imposter? That's the rumor started by a practical joker on MASH, Tuesday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain on CBS.
It's halftime here at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in 82-degree weather, and the Los Angeles Rams leading San Francisco 17-7. The confrontation between Joe Namath and the great front four of San Francisco. Here are some scores, as you can see, and there's a great start for that one.
Kilmer to Frank Grant for a 12-yard pass, and defense has got to be playing there. Washington 7, St. Louis nothing.
And for St. Louis, trying to stay alive for a big game with Dallas next week.
Pittsburgh got untracked and finally came back and came from behind to beat Cleveland 28-14.
I guess I was asking too much of Cleveland to come up with 2 magnificent efforts and upsets, however you want to call it. And to ask them to beat Pittsburgh today was almost a miracle.
And they have Oakland next week.
Great.
21-7, Miami leading Houston in the third period. Greasy has thrown a couple of touchdown passes in that one.
Interesting about Bob Greasy having that double vision trouble, and apparently he is able to survive the problem, and it must be a very difficult one.
He's gone to the shades, hasn't he? A little, some glasses that he's using now, and they seem to be effective for him. Atlanta 17, New York 3, a final. Atlanta, I tell you, they've been impressive every week. Saw them last week. We did the first 2 games, and a mistake-free club. They're really playing good football, and you have to admire what the coach has done to go in there and take that club and turn it around that way.
And, of course, for Atlanta to win is bad news for San Francisco because they're all in the same division, and Atlanta, having already beaten the Rams, they're hanging tough.
And this,
that's a shocker.
Donnybrook, this was 42-24. Pardee's having some trouble stopping anybody. And, of course, Wally Chambers, their great defensive tackle, is injured. Not sure if he played today. Have no reports on that. I didn't think he was going to play. But Hank Stram, you really have to congratulate him, 42-24 over the Bears.
He was saying that he had plenty of good backs and an offense. It was a question of whether his defense would hold up. And, of course, there was a battle of offense, and it held up.
If you can score that many points, you don't need defense.
How about this one?
Well, they trailed in this game 7-0, and they come back to Minnesota, comes back to win it 19-7. And they just put it together when they have to, and they do what they have to win. What was it, 9-3 over Tampa Bay last week?
That's right. I guess another unspectacular victory, but of course that's where the payoff is. Never mind the adjective.
Oh, boy, this was a close one, 17-13. Philadelphia still having trouble offensively. Jaworski was out. He got hurt today, banged up a knee, could be out indefinitely, and Detroit goes on to win that one 17-13.
And, of course, Philadelphia coming off a shutout here. They went down 20-0 against the Rams, so then coming back. I wonder when Jaworski was hurt how many points they had on the board. Do you remember?
I'm not sure. Baltimore 17, Buffalo 14. A lot closer than a lot of people thought. Baltimore has scored a lot of points against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense must have veered down a little bit today.
And there's another final. The New York Jets upsetting New England 30-27. That fits as a shocker.
New England having a lot of problems internally on the team with John Hanna and Leon Gray being out. And this has been a little tough for them. And you see another final there. Dallas made it 3 in a row, 23-7 over Tampa Bay.
So those are the scores that we have at halftime of the Coliseum. The Rams leading the 49ers 17-7.
Where does your money go after you put it in your bank? Well, some of it's right here. Building your neighborhood, construction loans and home mortgages. But also with municipal bonding, money for your public parks, and money for your schools. Today, America's banks have over $80 billion invested in communities like yours. So if you believe in your community, there's no better place to put your money than your bank. America's bankers, helping you change things for the better.
Ever get the feeling that you wanted to cut out?
Go home, Mustang. Mustang. Let a Mustang take you away.
Mustang, an exciting way to get from where you are to where you want to be with staggered shocks and front disc brakes.
Mustang.
The 78 Ford Mustang 2 Ghia. What are you waiting for?
Go Mustang.
So cut out. Go Mustang. A better idea from Ford.
This football trophy is made of coal. It commemorates a team of miners called the Pottsville Maroon. Back then, the ball was fatter, not much different than the helmet, a piece of old leather. You went 60 minutes in a shirt and shoes, anybody's. Today's sleeker football is made for passing, and colorful uniforms cover a lot more protection. Football has come a long way, and it's all here waiting for you with the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
I'm Franz Argument of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, there are guidelines which help quarterbacks make good decisions. There are also guidelines which can help young people make a responsible decision about alcohol. And we've produced them on this colorful poster, which you can receive by writing Education Commission of the States, Box 687, Denver, Colorado, 80201. Making a responsible decision about alcohol is one call we should all be able to make.
The preceding announcement was brought to you as a public service by the National Football League. The Rams leading the 49ers 17-7. The Rams controlling the ball and rushing better than 2-1. However, the 49ers down in points trying to play catch-up, and they have gone over that line so that they're just about ready to pass more than run, and that's very dangerous territory. There's the numbers on the first half, Sonny.
The big difference has to be in the rushing yardage here right before the halftime, before the 2-minute warning. They had only 5 yards, San Francisco did, rushing, and they gained that other 9 or 10 yards rushing there right at the end. But that is a big difference, the way that the L.A. defense has been able to shut down the rush.
And, of course, how they're going to change that in the second half, you as a quarterback know when you're behind and you are forced to put the ball in the air, it's very tough to be successful.
They disregard the rush. If they know you're going to get away from it, you try to run play action, and they know you're not running any place, so they can disregard that. And that's what makes it more difficult to throw the ball. Everything else kind of even. Namath 4 out of 8, and Plunkett 6 out of 9. Pretty close there all the way. No interceptions, no turnovers.
For the 49ers, they could use a lift right now, and Paul Hofer going deep, number 36, up in front of him. He has Dave Williams along with Bob Farrell and Rafael Sepien ready to kick off on the 35. And here we go, the start of the third quarter, 17-7 Rams. And here comes Paul Hofer from the 1 to the 15, 20, 25, 30, to the 35, and across the 35, Rick Nuzum, one of 2 Rams to hit him, so it's a fine return by Paul Hofer. Nolan Cromwell at the bottom of the play, and that's just what they needed, some kind of a big play to get started.
A little spark, and I think they're going to have to be a little more wide open, like you talked about during the halftime there. Plunkett's going to have to come out, get the ball to some of those wide receivers.
1st and 10 on the San Francisco 37-yard line. Lash is left, Washington right. Williams and Jackson behind Plunkett. And he's going to the air, 1st down. Got it to Williams. And Jackson is to the 45 and to the 40-yard line. Wilbur Jackson finally brought down by Bill Simpson. And there they go, passing on 1st down.
1st down throw. They went to their passing set. He goes back, wants to go outside. You see him looking here. Comes back, and does he ever thread a needle to Jackson? Right between Elmendorf, Simpson gets it right through there. And now the good run by Jackson down. Big play.
1st and 10 just inside the Ram 40-yard line. Washington right and Lash left. Tom Mitchell, the tight end, on the left side. Play action fake to Delvin Williams, and then Plunkett releases to Williams. He's trying to outrun Isaiah Robertson along with Jim Youngblood, and as he tries to get away from those two, he's hit by a third, Bob Brzezinski.
Another little play action 1st down from the I formation this time. Kind of rolling, just hits a little check down. That's the one he used in the 1st quarter, a check down, this time off of a different formation. Williams ran it in the last time he hit him with this. Didn't have a lot of running room this time. Good play call.
2nd and 5, the ball inside the Ram 35-yard line. Lash left, Washington right, so the same formation. Backs out of the I. And Plunkett a quick out to Washington, and down he goes inside the 30. And Pat Thomas right there on top of him.
That's 3 for 3.
So Gene Washington, another reception. That's his 2nd. He had 35 yards on the 1st one. And Gene Washington still figures to be a most important part if there to be a 49er comeback. Usually he is double teamed, and they tell me that's one reason why they brought Rick Jennings to the club, trying to get some more speed and get one man off his back.
Yes, they must feel that the speed of Jim Lash hasn't been what they expected, or maybe he's hurt or something, but they're getting so much double coverage on Gene Washington that it's affecting their passing game somewhat. They've got to put a threat on the other side to force people to honor that other side.
There's Jim Plunkett. The names of Plunkett and Washington certainly went together at Stanford. When Gene Washington was in his senior year, he caught 71 Plunkett passes for 8 touchdowns. So they go together. 1st and 10 on the Ram 29. Wilbur Jackson behind and goes outside Delvin Williams, and he gets to about the 27-yard line. Williams was fighting Youngblood, and Pat Thomas made the hit.
First running play for them. Other 3 plays were passes coming out here, so they have changed their philosophy a little bit here, trailing 17-7 in the 3rd quarter.
Wilbur Jackson is really a converted halfback playing at fullback, and he doesn't run as well with Williams blocking as Williams does with Jackson blocking, that's for sure. Oh, 2nd and 8 on the 27. They picked up 2. Pitch back to Delvin Williams with Jackson in front. He takes out Elmendorf, and that springs him. A beautiful block from Wilbur Jackson, and he'll take Dave Elmendorf right out, and that gave him the extra yards.
Good blocking. Here's the defensive line. Look at the blocking by Barrett working on Dreyer. They're stringing the thing out. You think the Rams have good defensive position. At the last second, Williams gets around the corner. Boy, just excellent blocking. If you can block like this, stay on your feet. The thing is, they didn't throw at people. They stayed up on their feet, and that's what made the play successful.
1st and 10 on the Ram 18-yard line. Washington on the left side and Lash to the right. Plunkett to Delvin Williams, trying to get behind Farnhorst, but before Farnhorst could do anything for him, why, he was taken down. As far as the numbers, Plunkett 9 for 12, 140 yards and 1 touchdown. Namath 4 for 8 for 72. McCutcheon has gained 59 yards to be the top Ram rusher. And as we have pointed out, San Francisco having trouble with their rushing game. They now have rushed Jackson and Williams for a total of 28 yards. No gain on that play, so it is 2nd and 10. Paul Seal is now in the ball game on the left side. Ball on the Ram 18. And Plunkett that time finally got the Rams to respond. give me the way you would try, in all honesty. Give me a regular cadence and then show me how you can jump them.
What you do, it's unrhythmic. Instead of saying, like if the play is on 2, you'd say 221, 221, set, hop, hop. But if you're going to go on 3 sometimes, you would say 321, 321, set, hop, hop. And then you hesitate and then come back with a hop. And as a quarterback can control the thing. If he sees him moving, he can go hop, hop, and then hop. So it really messes up the defensive linemen's trying to time the play.
Second and 5 from the 13-yard line, but they can't get that moving because the Rams kept together, and they bury him at the 15-yard line. Delvin Williams trying to get some daylight, but it wasn't there. Big Cody Jones, among others.
Only fallacy in changing that count and going to an unrhythmic count like that and going to a different cadence than you usually have is at times you pull your own team off.
I was going to say, Namath uses the word hike 3 times. Hike, hike, hike. And then if he starts to vary that, I could see you can get it back in motion or something.
You do.
The 49ers on a drive with 11:22 to go in the third quarter. Big play for Plunkett now. Looking down the right-hand side, a flip complete to Delvin Williams. And they had him on Bob Brodzinski. And the pass went over Brodzinski's head right to Delvin Williams. It'll be first and goal.
Perfectly thrown ball by Jim Plunkett here. It was right. Look how he throws this ball. Watch it come down right over Brodzinski, who had good coverage. Thomas knocks him out of bounds.
And an ideal set, of course, to turn a halfback loose on that rookie linebacker, too.
He was in good position. Just a perfectly thrown ball.
The ball on the Ram 3, first and goal. So Plunkett, trailing by 10, has a chance to get back in the ballgame. Delvin Williams, he's in there. Oh, what a misdirection.
Same type of play the Rams scored on. Going up the middle with a quick trap. And you watch it right here. He steps out. You see the man coming across. Lawson on the trap. Williams makes good piece of running after that. Good piece of running to get in.
But when they pulled to make the trap, you thought sure the play was going the other way. So Delvin Williams breezing in, and the 49ers are very much alive at 17-13. Tom Whittam trying to make it 14 for San Francisco. It's up, and the kick is good. And so with 11 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the third quarter from the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the Rams 17, the 49ers 14.
I would tell another woman to go into Firestone.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
This is my car, and I think it's more or less my responsibility. And when when it comes time to changing tires, I'm the one that had to take it in. Well, if someone was to ask me, what tires to get, I would tell them to get Firestone.
Firestone.
The Quintrix 2-color picture tube from Panasonic brings you a very lifelike picture. Because Quintrix 2 is our inline picture tube with an extra pre-focus lens that concentrates and focuses the electron beam to bring you Panasonic's sharpest picture ever. So lifelike, you may even feel you're part of the picture. Quintrix 2, one more reason Panasonic is just slightly ahead of our time.
17-14 Rams, 11 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the third quarter. Wendell Tyler standing on his own 10. Tom Whittam kicks it over his head. Into the end zone, there will be no run back. So Wendell Tyler wisely electing to touch it down. And the Rams will take over first and 10 on their own 20. Sonny?
Third period score, Denver 17, Seattle 7.
So the Rams putting it in play, and a pumped-up San Francisco defensive club now. If they can stop the Rams, and quickly, or the 49ers have to believe they've got something going here.
Another third period score then is Washington still 7, St. Louis 0.
First and 10 from the Ram 20. Namath with his back split, McCutcheon and Capoletti. Jackson left and Scales right, and here comes McCutcheon. And he get out across the 22-yard line. So he picked up a couple. In case you were not with us earlier, on almost the first play of the game, Ron Jesse was injured after catching a pass and is out at least for the rest of the game. So Dwight Scales is in there in his stead, but they really miss Ron Jesse.
Namath starting as he did in the first half. He had success running up the middle, and that's exactly the way he ran the first play.
2nd and 6 from the Ram 24. Scales right and Jackson left. Capoletti, nowhere. Boy, he tested the right side of the San Francisco line, and nothing gave. Cleveland Elam, who plays right over the head of Rick Saul, is very much active in the ballgame. Elam is one of these kids who is now 251. He's gained 28 pounds since they drafted him in 1975. He's just a growing boy.
Boyd Peters said he saw him. He was sitting on the bench behind Hart, and he said, move that man inside, let him play. He's a football player.
3rd and 3 on the Ram 27. Namath gonna go down. And guess who? The boy we were just talking about, Cleveland Elam, will pick him up. He is 6'4", 251, 3 years out of Tennessee State.
Oh, he makes a real quick move around Tom Mack. You see the big step there. Joe didn't even have a chance to get set. He saw Elam breaking free on him, and he went down.
That's the 2nd sack for San Francisco. Hardman had gotten Joe in the first half, and they are just starting to warm to the occasion. So Glenn Walker will be punting from inside his 5-yard line. Rick Jennings all alone for the 49ers at midfield, and he's going to receive it on his own 36-yard line. To the 40, and Brodzinski nails him before he can get back to the 45. So with 9 minutes and 21 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter, the score, the Rams 17, the 49ers 14.
To play middle linebacker, you got to be more than tough. You got to be a mind reader, ready for anything that comes your way. And to be really great, you got to give it that extra effort. Pabst gives it that extra effort to brew the finest quality beer. That's why we have the confidence to make the Pabst Challenge. Taste and compare Blue Ribbon with any other premium beer. Taste the difference quality makes. Pabst. Since 1844, the quality has always come through.
The Ford in Your Future is coming October 7th. The new Ford Fairmont. A new wagon designed for today and the years ahead. The Fairmont wagon has excellent mileage ratings, but while it is trim and lean outside, Fairmont has almost 90% of the passenger space of most large wagons, and with its seat down can swallow up all this cargo. Is Fairmont the Ford of your future? Test drive Fairmont October 7th. Find out for yourself. Fairmont, the newest better idea from the Wagon Master.
Sunday, Rhoda's mother, Nancy Walker, returns.
Ma, you are incredible.
I know.
Sunday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
John Capoletti, Heisman Trophy winner, scored his first touchdown of the year today. The Rams leading 17-14, and it's 1st and 10 for San Francisco on their own 44. Play action fake to Delvin Williams. Punt is going deep to the right side to Gene Washington, and there might be interference. There is. Pat Thomas interfering with Gene Washington. Bill Simpson was along for the ride, but I believe it's Pat Thomas guilty of the infraction. That'll put the ball inside the Ram 15-yard line.
Plunkett, look at him. He really lays this one out there. It's hard to tell. Thomas running, trying with the ball. He didn't really make an effort. He doesn't look at the ball. See if we can pick it up from this angle. You see him not making an effort to look for it. Washington leaning in, trying to get the ball. Pass interference.
A 43-yard penalty is what it turns out to be. 1st and 10 on the Ram 14. And here comes San Francisco. Washington right and Lash left. Mitchell, a tight end on the left side. Pitch back to Delvin Williams. And boy, does he pay for that. He just did get by the first shot by Dave Elmendorf. Otherwise, he would have lost a lot of yardage. Jim Youngblood finally brought him down.
The Rams were anticipating a pass again there because they came with a safety blitz. And when you run wide like that, there's a good chance you can break that thing and go all the way, but the pursuit caught up with the play then.
2nd and 7, the ball on the 11-yard line of the Rams. Washington right. Lash left. Here comes Wilbur Jackson. Flag on the play. Brzezinski chasing him, and he goes down. And there are 2 flags on the play now. The penalty, I think, against San Francisco because the flag was so early. I would assume illegal motion. It might be Jim Lash.
Hey, 2 of them again. This is the 3rd time we've had 2 penalties. Second time on San Francisco where they've had 2 in one play. A little motion penalty and clipping on Gene Washington, I think.
Last week, we saw something like 25 penalties in the Atlanta-Washington game, remember?
They have. They've had, I think, penalties up about 15% this year, but I talked with Bob Cochran at the league office. He said, look, see if we can pick up the call here if officials fixed his...
All right. 24, accepted. Backfield in motion declined. All right.
So the clipping accepted. The backfield in motion declined, of course. And from the 14, they are back on the 26-yard line. So Plunkett now has Washington in the slot inside Lash left. And Seal, the tight end, on the right side. He's got Washington at the 5. Dave Elmendorf went diving over his shoulder. Gene Washington made the catch, and Bill Simpson finally lay on top of him.
This is called muscling the ball in there. He comes very close to getting this picked off. You see him, he's trying to pick out Washington's running a crossing pattern, and he really hums this ball to get it in there because you see how close the man comes, coming sloughing off to make the play on the ball. Thomas just goes by. Simpson tags him down. A big play by the 49ers and by Plunkett.
A 20-yard pass play. First and goal from the Rams 6. It's 17-14 Rams, and the 49ers on the move. A check down to make it 3rd down. Pardon me, and he is grabbed from behind. We forgot about the penalties. Larry Brooks made the hit. So it was 3rd down from the 6, as Plunkett had to recover from the penalty and got 20 of them back. So now it will be 4th down. Tom Whittam is in there, and the 49ers trying to go for the field goal and get even.
Big play again, though, but you can't, I tell you, Plunkett just hung in there as long as he could. Really made a good throw to Washington to set up this short field goal try.
Harrison will spot the ball on the 14, so it's a 24-yard field goal attempt by Tom Whittam. No good. And a dispirited and disgusted 49er club lets one get away. So with 6:55 to go in the 3rd period, 17-14 Los Angeles.